September 25th, 1944. Somewhere in France. My dearest Maggie, I still hear the Germans laughing when they called our Shermans death traps. But that morning at Arracourt, our radios made them the ones burning in the fields. They thought they had us beat. Their Panthers had longer guns, thicker armor, could kill us from ranges we couldn't even return fire. They mocked us over intercepted frequencies, called us Tommy Cookers, because our tanks supposedly lit up like cigarette lighters when hit. They were confident, professional, veterans who'd fought across Europe and thought they understood war better than us green Americans. But what they didn't understand, what nobody understands until they're in the middle of it, is that wars aren't won by the biggest gun or the thickest armor. They're won by the side that can talk to each other faster, coordinate better, react quicker. And that morning in the fog, while German tank commanders were using hand signals and runners and flags that took precious seconds to relay information, we were on the radio calling targets and flanking positions before they even knew we'd moved. I received your letter 3 days ago, Maggie. September 22nd. I've read it 100 times since. The paper is creased now, stained with oil from my hands, but I can't stop pulling it out and reading those words again. You're pregnant. 6 months already. The baby will come in March. March 1945. 5 months from now. And all I can think about while I'm sitting in this metal coffin watching friends die and trying not to die myself, is whether I'll live until March. Whether I'll be there in that hospital room when our baby comes into the world. Whether I'll get to hold our child in my arms, count their tiny fingers and toes, see their face for the first time. Whether I'll be there to support you through labor, to tell you you're doing great, to be the husband and father I promised to be, or whether you'll be alone. Whether you'll give birth without me, surrounded by nurses and doctors, but not the one person who should be there. Whether our baby will come into the world and I'll already be dead, buried in some French field, just another name on a casualty list. Whether our child will grow up knowing their father only through photographs and stories and letters like this one. I'm writing this in a farmhouse outside Arracourt, sitting at a wooden table watching morning light come through miraculously intact windows. And I need you to understand what happened here over the past week. Not the sanitized version they'll put in newspapers. Not the heroic story they'll tell if I don't make it back. The real version. The truth. 6 days ago, I used our Sherman's radio to coordinate attacks that killed dozens of German tankers. Maybe 100. We were outnumbered, outgunned, facing Panther tanks that could punch through our armor like tin foil while our shells bounced off their frontal plates. But we had radios in every single tank, and they didn't. So we talked, we moved, we flanked, and we killed them before they understood what was happening. I did my job. Did it professionally, efficiently, by the book. Captain Abrams said I probably saved a dozen American lives with my radio work, and now 3 of my best friends are dead anyway. Bill Carter, Anthony Romano, Charlie Brown. 3 men who were alive a week ago, who ate breakfast with me and joked with me and trusted me to keep them alive. And I can't stop thinking about Bill Carter's 2 daughters, Emily and Sarah, ages 4 and 6. 2 little girls who will grow up without their father now, just like our baby might grow up without me. Just like you might raise our child alone, showing them my photograph, telling them stories about a man they'll never remember, because they never knew me in the first place. My name is Staff Sergeant Frank, though everyone calls me Red on account of my hair. Bright red, same color as Dad's before it went gray. I'm 24 years old. Look older now after 2 years in this war. There's gray in my red hair already. Actual gray like an old man's, even though I'm barely past being a kid. My hands shake sometimes when I'm not doing anything. I don't sleep well anymore. But I still try to joke like I used to back in Dayton when things are calm, which isn't often. Still make sarcastic comments to cut the tension. Still act like the Frank you married, even though I'm not sure that Frank exists anymore. I'm a tank commander with the 4th Armored Division, 37th Tank Battalion, Company B. That means I'm in charge of an M4A3 Sherman medium tank, 30 tons of welded steel with a 75mm main gun, and a crew of 5 men whose lives depend on my decisions every single day. It means I give orders that can save lives or end them. It means I coordinate with other tanks over the radio, calling targets and sharing information. It means I'm responsible for everything. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, our Dayton, where we fell in love, where we got married in June 1942. You remember that day, Maggie? You in that white dress your sister helped you make because we couldn't afford to buy one. Me in my dress uniform, fresh out of basic training, thinking I looked like a real soldier when really I just looked like a scared kid playing dress-up. We made promises to each other that day. Till death do us part, for better or worse. We didn't know what those promises would mean. Didn't understand that worse would mean years of separation and constant fear. That till death do us part would become a daily possibility instead of a distant eventuality. We had 3 days together before I shipped out. 72 hours. That's all the married life we got before the Army sent me to Fort Knox for armor training. 3 days in that tiny apartment above the hardware store. Remember that place? 1 room with a kitchenette and a bathroom down the hall. The faucet leaked constantly. The neighbor upstairs played violin at weird hours. The window faced an alley, but we didn't care. We were together and that was everything. And for 3 days, we had that. 3 days of pretending the war didn't exist, pretending I wasn't leaving, pretending we had all the time in the world. I think about those days constantly now. Think about lying next to you that last night, both of us pretending to sleep, but really just memorizing everything. The feeling of your head on my chest, the sound of your breathing, the warmth of your body next to mine. Memorizing it all because we knew it might have to last a lifetime if I didn't make it back. You were talking about the future that night, making plans like young people do, like the war wouldn't last long, like I'd be back in a year and we'd start our real life together. You talked about buying a house with a yard and a garage where I could work on cars. You talked about children. Maybe 2 or 3, you said, tracing patterns on my chest. Maybe a little red-headed boy who looks just like you, or a girl with your eyes. Either way, they'll be perfect. They'll be ours. And I promised. God help me, I promised. Promised I'd come back. Promised we'd have that life. Promised I'd be there for all of it. Made promises I might not be able to keep, because war doesn't care about promises or plans or dreams. Now you're 6 months pregnant and I'm in France, and I've broken that promise because I'm not there. I'm not supporting you through the pregnancy. I'm not going to doctor's appointments with you or feeling the baby kick or helping you pick out names. You're doing all of that alone. I remember the smell of your hair on that pillow our last morning together. Jasmine shampoo. You always used jasmine. I remember the sound of your breathing when you finally did fall asleep, steady and peaceful. I remember the taste of the coffee you made that morning. Too strong, too bitter because you were nervous and forgot to measure the grounds. I drank it anyway because you'd made it. I remember the way morning light came through our one window, cutting across the bed, touching your face. You looked like an angel. And I remember thinking that I didn't deserve you. Didn't deserve your love or your faith or the fact that you were willing to wait for me. I remember holding your hand at the train station. How you tried so hard not to cry because you wanted to be strong for me. How you failed and cried anyway. And I cried too, even though soldiers aren't supposed to cry. How you made me promise one more time to come back. Come back to me, Frank Hughes, you said, gripping my hands. Come back and meet our children and grow old with me. That's an order, soldier. You were joking, but you were also serious. And I promised, even though we both knew it was a promise I might not be able to keep. I'm trying to obey that order, Maggie. Trying with everything I have. But trying isn't always enough. Sometimes you can do everything right and still die. Sometimes luck runs out. I'm 5'10", strong build from working in Dad's garage and now from manhandling tank equipment. My face is usually covered in soot during combat, mixture of gunpowder residue and engine exhaust. I still have the red hair you love, though it's usually hidden under my tanker's helmet. My hands are scarred from working with machinery, burns, cuts, calluses. Working man's hands, mechanic's hands. Now they're killer's hands. Hands that call in coordinates for killing. Hands that operate radios that coordinate death. I'm practical, always have been. Don't believe in luck or fate. Believe in maintenance and preparation and doing your job correctly. But I'm also fiercely loyal to my crew. Would die for them if I had to. That's what you learn in combat. Loyalty to the men beside you trumps everything else. Except sometimes you can't protect them. Sometimes they die anyway. My tank is an M4A3 Sherman. She's got a Ford GAA V8 engine, 500 horsepower, moving 30 tons of steel. Got a 75mm main gun that can punch through most German tanks if you hit them in the right spot. She's not the best tank in the world. The Germans have better. But we have one advantage they don't. Every Sherman has a radio. That radio, the SCR 508, is the most important piece of equipment in the whole tank. It's what lets us fight as a coordinated unit, instead of 5 separate tanks hoping for the best. It's what lets us outmaneuver Panthers that should kill us. It's what turns us into an effective fighting machine. And it's what makes me an effective killer. We call the tank Betsy's voice, after my mother. You remember Mom? She'd stand on the porch and holler when I stayed too late in the garage. Her voice kept me in line. Now the tank's voice does the same. We painted the name on the barrel in white letters. Added a drawing of a woman with her mouth open like she's shouting. Inside, Betsy, I keep your photograph, the one from our wedding day. You smiling, holding my arm, looking happier than I'd ever seen you. It's creased now, stained with oil and sweat. One corner is torn. But I can't throw it away. It's proof, Maggie. Proof that somewhere beyond this war, normal life still exists. When I'm scared, and I'm scared constantly, I pull out that photograph and look at your smile and remember that I have something worth surviving for. Now I know you're not just waiting for me. You're carrying our child. And that photograph means even more because it's not just us anymore. It's the 3 of us. The family we're becoming. I wish I had a photograph of you pregnant. Wish I could see what you look like with our baby growing inside you. Do you show yet at 6 months? Does your belly curve outward? Have you felt the baby kick? Do you talk to them? Tell them about their father who's far away but thinking about them constantly? These are things I should know. Things I should be there to experience. Things this war is stealing from us. September 18th, 1944. Evening. We rolled into position near Arracourt after 3 days of hard driving through French countryside. The town was nothing special, just old stone buildings and farms, maybe a few hundred people. But it sat on a crossroads, and in war, crossroads matter. Captain Abrams called all tank commanders to the command track for briefing. 15 of us crowded around a map spread on a jeep hood. Late afternoon sun casting long shadows. Someone smoking, always cigarettes. The air smelled like diesel and autumn fields. Abrams was West Point, smart as hell, respected by every man because he'd proven himself from Normandy to here. 26 years old, but looked older. When he talked, we listened. Intelligence says the Germans have Panthers and Stooges moving into this area, he said, pointing at the map. Could hit us tomorrow, could be next week, but they're coming. We're talking veteran panzer crews, experienced commanders, tanks with better guns and better armor than anything we've got. That got everyone's attention. Panthers were the best medium tanks the Germans had. Long 75mm gun that could kill a Sherman from 2,000 yards, frontal armor thick enough that our 75mm shells bounced off unless you got lucky. On paper, they outclassed us completely. So how do we fight them, sir? Someone asked. Same way we've been fighting them, Abrams said. Speed, maneuver, and communication. Our Shermans aren't tougher, we all know that. But they're faster, more maneuverable, and most important, you've all got radios. The Germans don't, not in every tank. They're relying on flags and runners and unit cohesion. Visual signals that break down the instant combat starts. We can talk to each other instantly, coordinate on the fly, adjust plans mid-battle. That's our advantage. That's what keeps us alive. He paused, looked at each of us. Panthers can kill you from ranges where you can't return fire, so don't fight them head-on. Flank them. Use speed and maneuver. Coordinate with other tanks. Call targets over the radio. Share information. Move constantly. The tank that sits still dies. The commander who doesn't communicate dies. We dispersed to our positions, walked back to our tanks in fading light, each of us processing what we'd just heard. Some guys joked, nervous humor. Some were quiet. Some prayed. Some wrote letters home. I walked back to Betsy, thinking about you, thinking about the baby, thinking about March, and whether I'd live that long. 5 months seemed like forever, and tomorrow at the same time. My crew was waiting. Corporal Tommy Hayes from Oregon, our driver. 22, blonde hair, quiet, could drive a Sherman through anything. Sergeant Bill Carter from Illinois, our gunner. 26, married, 2 daughters back home, best shot in the platoon. Private Anthony Romano from Brooklyn, our loader. 23, Italian-American, always joking, could load shells faster than anyone. Private Charlie Brown from Kansas, quiet farm boy, 19, wrote letters home every day, manned the bow gun with steady competence. 5 men. 5 lives depending on my decisions. What did the captain say? Hayes asked. Said Panthers are coming, and we better be smarter than them because we sure as hell ain't tougher. Great, Romano muttered. My ma always said I should have stayed in school and been smart. Now I gotta be smart or die. Carter laughed. Your ma also said you should stop eating so much pasta, but look how that worked out. I ain't fat, I'm well fed. There's a difference. Boys, I interrupted, check the radios. Make sure we got clear comms with all tanks. Captain says that's going to be the difference tomorrow. Hayes nodded, climbed into the driver's position, started cycling through frequencies. The Germans had radios too, but only in command tanks, 1 per platoon instead of 1 per vehicle. Their commanders had to rely on visual signals during combat. They couldn't adapt mid-battle, couldn't share information instantly. That was our edge. Just the ability to talk to each other while we were fighting. The night was cold. September in Lorraine, autumn coming, temperatures dropping. We posted watch rotation, broke out K-rations. Romano heated some beans over a portable stove, shared them around, making jokes about authentic Italian cuisine. Carter sang quietly while we ate, some country tune about going home to Tennessee. His voice was surprisingly good, rich baritone. He'd been singing since Normandy, always songs about home and love and longing. Charlie Brown sat apart, writing a letter by lantern light. He did that every night, wrote to his parents in Kansas City, told them about the French countryside and how it reminded him of Kansas. Never told them about the combat or death. Just cheerful letters like this was summer camp. I pulled out your photograph, looked at your smile in the fading light, tried to imagine you 6 months pregnant. Tried to believe I'd survive long enough to see it in person. You okay, Red? Hayes asked quietly. Got a letter from my wife a few days ago, I said. She's pregnant. Baby's due in March. Hayes was quiet. Then, congratulations, man. That's wonderful news. Yeah, but my voice sounded hollow, because it was wonderful. Best news I'd gotten since this war started. But it was also terrifying because now I had even more to lose. Carter stopped singing, came over, put his hand on my shoulder. You'll make it back. You're too stubborn to die, Red, and that baby needs their father. I wanted to believe him. But Carter had 2 daughters who needed their father, and that hadn't protected him. Love wasn't armor. You got pictures of your girls? I asked. Carter's whole face lit up. Pulled a battered envelope from his breast pocket, extracted 2 photographs. Emily and Sarah, he said, voice full of pride. 2 blonde girls with pigtails sitting on a porch step. Emily's 6 now. Sarah just turned 4. They're beautiful, I said. They're everything, Carter said quietly. When I'm scared, And I'm scared all the time. I think about them. Think about going home. That's what keeps me going. You will. You'll see them again. I hope so. He tucked the photographs away carefully. Your kid's lucky, Red. They've got a good father. Just make sure you survive long enough for them to meet you. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in my bedroll, staring at stars. French stars. Same stars that shone over Dayton, over you, over our unborn child. I realized Carter was right. I wasn't fighting for abstract ideals anymore. I was fighting to get home to you, to meet our baby. But I was also terrified that wanting it wasn't enough. That love and hope couldn't stop a shell with my name on it. September 19th, 1944. 0600 hours. Dawn broke cold and foggy over Arracourt. The fog was thick, genuine pea soup. Visibility maybe 50 yards maximum. Lorraine autumn fog that rolled in off the fields and settled in the valleys. You couldn't see the tree lines, couldn't see the roads, could barely see the tank parked 10 feet away. This was the kind of fog that made you nervous because you knew the Germans were out there somewhere, and you wouldn't see them until they were close enough to kill you. We were in our positions. 4 Shermans hull down behind a low ridge overlooking a farmer's field that stretched into the fog. Carter was at the main gun. Romano was ready with shells. Hayes at the controls. Charlie at the bow gun. And I was in the commander's cupola with field glasses that were useless in this soup. The radio crackled. Red, this is Black 6. Captain Abrams. Sit tight. Scouts report German armor moving your direction. Numbers unknown. Stay alert. Over. Black 6. Red actual, roger. Out. I passed the word to my crew. Germans incoming. Don't know how many. Don't know when. Stay sharp. We waited. Waiting is the worst part of tank combat, Maggie. You're sealed in a steel box that can become your coffin in seconds. You're blind except for narrow periscopes. You're deaf except for the radio and your own engine. Everything smells like oil and sweat and fear. Time stretches out. Minutes feel like hours. Your mind plays tricks. Every shadow is an enemy tank. Every sound is incoming fire. And you think about home. Can't help it. I thought about you. Thought about our baby. Thought about March. Contact. East side, movement in fog, range unknown. Over. I grabbed field glasses, scanned east, saw nothing but gray. Then, there, just barely. A shape in the fog, dark, angular, moving slowly. Panther, I said into the radio. East side, approximately 200 yards, moving north. Over. I got him, Carter said from the gunner's position. Hold fire. Wait for the order. More shapes appeared. 2, 3, 4, 6. A whole column of German armor emerging from the fog like ghosts. Panthers mostly, with those long 75mm guns. They were moving in formation, searching for us, confident in their superior equipment. Black 6, red actual, I count 6 enemy tanks moving north. Request permission to engage. Over. Hold position, Red. Let them get closer. All units, load armor piercing, prepare to fire on my command. Wait for it. Over. The Germans kept moving, searching, trying to find us. They didn't know where we were yet. That was our advantage. That and the radios. Black 6, lead tank is at 150 yards. Over. All units on my mark. Target the flanks. Hit and move. Execute. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Fire, I shouted. Carter squeezed the trigger. The 75mm gun roared, deafening inside the turret. Whole tank rocking back from recoil. Through the sight I saw the tracer strike the lead Panther's side armor. Flash. Then orange flame erupting as something inside caught fire. All along the ridge, other Shermans were firing. The fog lit up with muzzle flashes. Tracers streaked through the gray. The Germans were caught in the open, flanks exposed, unable to see where fire was coming from. Traverse right, next target. On! Fire! Another shot, another hit. This one struck a stooge in the engine. Smoke poured out. The vehicle stopped. Red Actual, this is Red 3, I'm hit! I'm hit! The radio screamed with panic. I looked left, saw Bill Carter's tank, Louisiana Queen, engulfed in flames. A Panther shell had punched straight through the turret. The crew was bailing out, men on fire, rolling in the grass trying to extinguish themselves. Red 3 is down, I said into the radio, voice steady even though my hands were shaking. Crew is abandoning. Over. Bill Carter, 26 years old, 2 daughters, Emily and Sarah. They'd grow up without their father now, just like my baby might grow up without me. All units, displace left, move to alternate positions. Over. Hayes gunned the engine. Betsy lurched forward, moving to new position before the Germans could target us. Romano was already loading another round. Charlie was traversing the bow gun. Contact left. Panther, 100 yards. I swung the cupola, saw it. A Panther emerging from the fog not 100 yards away. His long gun was already turning toward us. Driver, hard left. Gunner, target the Panther. Hayes threw Betsy into a hard turn. We were broadside to the Panther, exposed, vulnerable. Carter was tracking, trying to get the gun on target while we were moving. The Panther fired first. The shell hit the ground 3 feet from our right track, sending dirt and shrapnel everywhere. Close, too close. Fragments pinged off our armor. One piece punched through the thin sponson armor, embedded itself in the opposite wall a foot from Romano's head. Jesus Christ, Romano shouted. On target! Carter, voice tight. Fire! Our gun fired. The shell hit the Panther's turret. Glancing blow, not enough to penetrate, but enough to make them flinch. They were turning, trying to line up another shot. Black 6, Red Actual, we need support. Panther on our position, over. Red 2, assist Red Actual, over. Another Sherman appeared, Red 2, commanded by Sergeant Sullivan. His gun fired, hitting the Panther in the flank. Penetration. The German tank stopped. Hatches popped, crew bailing out, running into the fog. Good shot, Red 2, over! But there was no time to celebrate. More Germans were appearing. The fog was clearing with sunrise, revealing the full scope of their attack. At least a dozen tanks spread across the field. They were regrouping, trying to coordinate without radios, using flags and light signals that took time. All units, advance by platoons, keep moving, call your targets, over. And that's when it became coordinated chaos. We were moving, firing, communicating constantly over the radio, while the Germans struggled to react. I'd spot a target, call it out, Panther at grid 447, bearing northeast, and instantly 2 or 3 Shermans would converge fire on it. We'd hit from multiple angles, overwhelming their armor. We weren't fighting as 5 separate tanks. We were fighting as one organism, coordinating every move through radio. The Germans couldn't adapt. Their superior armor didn't matter when they couldn't bring it to bear effectively. Red 5 is burning! Red 5 is burning! Someone screaming over the radio. I turned, saw Romano's cousin's tank hit by a Panther. The Sherman was on fire, thick black smoke. 1 crewman made it out. 4 didn't. Red 7, transmission is shot, I can't move. Over. A Panther had found the immobilized Sherman. I watched through field glasses as the Panther's turret traversed slowly, the gunner taking careful aim. Red 2, Red 4, get to Red 7, over. But they were engaged, couldn't break off. The Panther fired. The shell punched through Red 7's side. Immediate explosion. Someone crawled out, fell off the tank, didn't move. Jesus Christ, Romano muttered. Stay focused, I snapped. Gunner, target that Panther. On. Fire. We hit the Panther in the engine. Not a kill, but enough to mission kill it. The crew bailed. But Red 7 was gone. Another crew dead. The battle raged for 3 more hours. We fought using our radios to coordinate, to share information, to react faster than they could. By noon, the Germans were retreating. We'd destroyed or disabled most of their armor. The field was littered with burning tanks, theirs and ours. We'd won. By any tactical measure, we'd won decisively. But victory didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival, and survival had cost us. The final count took hours to compile. Company B lost 4 Shermans destroyed, 2 damaged, 20 men dead, another 15 wounded. The Germans lost more, at least 10 tanks confirmed destroyed, dozens of casualties. By the cold mathematics of war, we'd won. But mathematics don't account for Bill Carter's daughters growing up without a father. Don't account for the weight of survival when you can't understand why you lived and they died. I kept hearing Carter's voice. Not the screaming when his tank was hit, but the singing. I'm so lonesome I could cry, playing over the radio during that last quiet moment before the Germans appeared. His voice, rich and full of emotion. Then the cutoff, mid-verse, replaced by static and screaming and then nothing. Silence where his voice should have been. Corporal Anthony Romano, Brooklyn, 23 years old, Italian-American who made pasta jokes and kept morale up. He'd been rotated to Red 8 for this mission because their loader got sick. Random assignment. Bad luck. His tank took a Panther shell through the hull. Didn't explode, just penetrated. But the shell fragmented inside, sent shrapnel everywhere. Romano was hit in the chest and legs. The driver got him out, laid him in the grass behind the burning tank while we were still fighting. I found him after the main fighting ended. He was still alive. Barely. Burns covered half his body. He was going into shock, shaking, eyes unfocused. "Hey, Red," he said when he saw me, voice barely a whisper. "Guess my ma was right, should have stayed in school." "Don't talk," I said, kneeling beside him even though I knew he wasn't going to make it. "Medics are coming. Tell Ma." He coughed, blood on his lips. "Tell Ma I ain't hungry no more. She always worried. Always said I didn't eat enough." He smiled, actually smiled. Even dying, even burned and broken, he was trying to make a joke. Then his eyes went distant. Then his breathing stopped. Then he was gone. I sat there next to his body while the battle continued around me. Romano had been alive an hour ago. Joking, loading shells, being himself. Now he was dead. And his last words were a joke about his mother's cooking, because even facing death, he was trying to make someone smile. Private Charles Brown, Kansas City, 19 years old. Quiet farm boy who wrote letters home every day. Our bow gunner. Survived the entire tank battle without a scratch, then died anyway. We'd stopped to refuel and rearm. Dangerous work but necessary. Charlie was carrying an ammunition box toward Betsy. Maybe 20 yards away when random German artillery landed. Harassment fire from a retreating gun. Shells lobbed without precision. One shell. Landed 50 yards away. Shrapnel the size of my thumb went through Charlie's chest. He dropped the ammo box, looked down at the wound like he couldn't understand. Took 2 steps, fell face first into the mud. Dead before I reached him. Random. Senseless. He'd survived direct combat only to die from random artillery. I stared at his body and realized that's the real truth of war. Not heroic tank battles or clever tactics. It's randomness. It's good men dying for no reason in ways that make no sense. That could be me tomorrow, Maggie. That random. I could do everything right and still die from one random shell. Could die, and our baby would be born without a father. Not because I failed, but because luck ran out. My near-death moment came during the height of battle. We were repositioning when a Panther caught us in the open. I saw the muzzle flash, saw the shell coming, just a dark streak in the air. "Down!" I screamed. The shell hit the ground 3 feet from our right track. The explosion sent shrapnel everywhere. Fragments punched through the thin armor. Something hot grazed my arm. Shrapnel, not big enough to kill, but enough to burn through my jacket and sear skin. For a second I couldn't breathe. Couldn't hear except for ringing. Couldn't see except for white spots. Couldn't think except, I'm dead. This is it. "Lieutenant, are you hit?" Hayes's voice, distant. "Move! Driver, move now!" Hayes gunned it. We got behind a building just as the Panther fired again, missing us by feet. My arm was bleeding. Not bad. Surface wound. But it could have been worse. That shell missed us by nothing. If the gunner's aim had been slightly better, I'd be dead right now. You'd be a widow. Our baby would be fatherless. I survived because of luck. Because the German gunner's aim was off. Because Hayes reacted fast. Because we got lucky. But Carter didn't get lucky. Romano didn't. Charlie didn't. They died, and I lived, and there's no reason for it. Just randomness. The fighting at Arracourt continued through September 29th. 10 days of repeated German attacks beaten back through radio coordination and speed. 10 days of killing and watching friends die. More tanks destroyed. More men killed. By September 24th, Company B had lost 8 Shermans and 40 men total, killed, wounded, or missing. Captain Abrams called it a decisive victory. Said we'd proven the value of radio communication in armored warfare. Said we should be proud. But I wasn't proud. I was exhausted, numb, hollowed out. On September 27th, 2 days before the fighting ended, I had a conversation with Captain Abrams that I keep replaying. We were sitting on Betsy's deck at dusk, smoking cigarettes, watching the sun set over fields littered with burnt-out tanks. "Hell of a battle," he said, voice tired. "Yes, sir." The radios made the difference. Your radio coordination, your target calling, you probably saved a dozen American lives. "Thank you, sir." He was quiet for a moment. Then, "You got a wife back home, don't you?" "Yes, sir. She's pregnant. Baby's due in March." He nodded slowly. "Carter had 2 kids. They'll grow up without a father now. Makes you think about what we're really fighting for." "What are we fighting for, sir?" "Officially, freedom, democracy, defeating tyranny, all the big words." He paused. "Honestly, we're fighting to get home, to see our families, to meet our children. That's what keeps us going. Not the big ideals, the small personal ones, the people waiting. And if we don't make it back, then someone else has to live the life we would have lived. Has to be the fathers and husbands we would have been. That's the real cost. Not just the men who die, but all the lives they would have lived. All the children they would have raised." He stubbed out his cigarette. "You did good work here, Hughes. Professional, efficient. You coordinated attacks that killed dozens and saved American lives. By any measure, you performed exceptionally. But don't let anyone tell you that makes it easy. Don't let anyone tell you that technology makes killing acceptable. Don't let anyone tell you that surviving when good men die is something to feel proud about." He met my eyes. "It's just luck. You're alive because shells missed you by feet. That's not skill. That's luck. And luck runs out." "What do I do with that, sir?" "You keep fighting. You try to survive. You do your duty." He stood. "And if you're lucky enough to make it home, you hold that baby and never let go. You give that child the life Carter's kids won't have. You live fully for all of us who don't make it back. That's how you honor the dead. Not with guilt, but by living well." So here I sit, Maggie, trying to find words to explain what happened. The Sherman radios won the battle for us. Let us coordinate while the Germans couldn't. That technology saved American lives, including mine, probably multiple times. But it didn't save Carter or Romano or Charlie, and it won't guarantee I'll see you again. Every morning I wake up and wonder if this is the day. If today's the day a shell finds me. I think about March constantly. Count the days. 154 days. Each one another chance for luck to run out. I imagine being there when our baby is born, holding your hand during labor, seeing them for the first time, counting their tiny fingers and toes, being a father. But I also imagine the alternative, the telegram arriving, you giving birth alone, our baby being born without me there. That fear is worse than any combat. The fear that I'll fail you and our baby not through any fault but through random chance. If I don't make it back, and I pray I do, Maggie, I pray every night, I need you to know some things. First, I love you more than anything. You're the reason I keep fighting. Every decision I make is calculated to get back to you. Second, tell our child about me. Tell them the truth. Tell them their father was a mechanic from Dayton who loved their mother desperately, who was scared but did his duty, who tried his best. Tell them I wanted nothing more than to meet them. Tell them I died trying to come home. Third, don't make me a saint. I've killed men, coordinated attacks that ended dozens of lives, used technology to make death efficient. I'm good at it. That's what haunts me. Our baby doesn't need the details, but you should know. Their father did terrible things for what he believed were good reasons. Fourth, be strong. For our baby. They'll need you. Need your strength and love and guidance. If I don't make it back, you'll have to be strong enough for both of us. I know you can do it. Fifth, if you meet someone else eventually, after time has passed, after grief has dulled, don't feel guilty. I want you to be happy. Want our baby to grow up in a home with love and laughter. If that means finding someone new to share your life with, someone who can be there when I couldn't, then that's what I want. Sixth, live fully. Please, don't let my death, if I die, define the rest of your life. Grieve, miss me, remember me, but then live. Live joyfully. Raise our baby with happiness, not just sorrow. Build a life. Find joy. That's what I'm fighting for, not just to come home myself, but to preserve your chance at a good life, even if I'm not there to share it. But I'm also going to tell you what I'm fighting to live for, because I need to believe I'll make it. Need to believe luck will stay with me for 5 more months. I'm fighting to be there when our baby is born, to be in that hospital room holding your hand, to hear that first cry, to see their face for the first time, to hold them and feel their weight in my arms and know that this tiny human is ours. I'm fighting to be there for those first exhausting weeks, the midnight feedings and diaper changes and crying that doesn't stop, all the chaos and terror and joy of new parenthood. I want to share that with you, want to experience all of it together. I'm fighting to watch our child grow, first smile, first laugh, first steps, all the milestones that make life worth living. I want to be there for every single one, want to teach them things, how to ride a bike, how to throw a baseball, how to fix engines like Dad taught me. I'm fighting to grow old with you, to see our baby graduate, get married, have children of their own, to become grandparents together, to sit on a porch someday holding your hand, looking back on all of this as something we survived together. That's what keeps me going, not duty or honor. You, our baby, the life we promised each other. The future I want desperately enough to fight for it, kill for it, risk everything for it. 5 more months. That's all I need. 5 months of luck holding. 5 months of shells missing instead of hitting. 5 months and then maybe I can come home, can meet our baby, can be the father and husband I promised to be. I'm trying, Maggie. With everything I have, I'm trying to survive. Trying to be smart and careful. Trying to use the radios effectively, make good tactical decisions, keep my crew alive. Trying to do everything right so luck doesn't have to work as hard. But I'm also terrified. Terrified that trying won't be enough. Terrified that my luck will run out before March. Terrified that I'll die despite wanting desperately to live. Please wait for me. Please believe I'll make it back. Please hold on to hope, even when weeks pass without letters. The mail is slow. Silence doesn't mean death. It just means distance. I'm coming home. I have to come home. Our baby needs their father. You need your husband. 5 more months. Just 5 more months of survival. I can do this. I have to do this. I love you eternally, forever, with everything I am. Your husband, Frank Staff, Sergeant Frank M. Hughes, U.S. Army, 4th Armored Division somewhere in France, September 25th, 1944. Maggie, if I do make it back, and I will fight with everything to make it, I'm going to be different. War changes people. I've killed men, watched friends die, done terrible things, I'll have nightmares. I'll flinch at loud noises. I'll stare at nothing sometimes, lost in memories I can't share. Be patient with me. Help me remember how to be human. Help me learn how to be a husband and father instead of just a killer with better communication equipment. I'll try to come back to you. Try to be the man you fell in love with. Try to be worthy of you and our baby. But I'll need your help. If you can love a broken man, if you can help me heal, then I'll fight with everything I have to survive. Because you're worth fighting for. Our baby is worth fighting for. The life we promised each other is worth every terrible thing I have to do to earn it. Tell me you'll still be waiting. Tell me our baby will have a father. Tell me you believe I'll make it back. Because I need to believe it too. And right now, your belief is the only thing keeping me going. Frank Hughes survived the Battle of Arracourt. He survived the rest of the war. He was there when his son was born on March 12, 1945, a red-haired boy named William Carter Hughes, after the friend who never came back to his own daughters. Frank held that baby in his arms and cried. He cried with relief, with joy, with survivor's guilt. He cried because he had promised Maggie he would return, and he had kept that promise. He cried because Carter and Romano and Charlie Brown would never have that moment. Maggie kept all 57 letters Frank wrote during the war. This was the hardest one to read, the one where he admitted how afraid he was that he might never meet his son. But it was also the one she cherished most because it showed how hard Frank fought to come home, how much each day of survival cost, how much love drove every decision. The Sherman radios Frank used at Arracourt changed armored warfare forever. They proved that communication could defeat brute force. They saved countless American lives through instant coordination. But they also left scars, invisible scars on men like Frank, who used technology to kill efficiently and then had to live with that efficiency. Frank never touched military radios again after the war. He went back to being a mechanic in Dayton, worked with his hands, raised his son, loved his wife. But every night, before going to bed, he would step into his son's room, watch William sleeping, and whisper the same words. Your father came back. I made it home. I made it. If this letter touched you, if the story of Frank, Maggie, and the men of Arracourt deserves to be remembered, subscribe to this channel and leave a like. Every subscription helps us rescue more voices like this, voices that cannot be left to die in the silence of history. There are thousands of letters still untold. Thousands of men like Bill Carter, Anthony Romano, and Charlie Brown, fathers, husbands, sons who fought, knowing they might never return. Your support keeps these memories alive. Subscribe, leave a like, share with someone who needs to hear this. And if you knew a tank veteran, if someone in your family served in Sherman tanks, if you know a love story that survived the war, leave it in the comments. Let's honor them together. Let's make sure their voices and the price they paid for survival never fade away. Their voices, our mission, over and out.